Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Behind the Silver Line. I'm going to apologize. I know that I have been MIA from this channel and I'm going to say I'm sorry. I am absolutely sorry for not being here as much as I thought that I was going to actually be on this channel. Welcome back to Behind the Silver Line. Happy New Year's to everyone. This is the first official video in 2019 for Behind the Silver Line. I started this channel with the hopes that I was going to get more, more responses from my viewers and a lot of my subscribers and a lot of my followers on Instagram. After the viral video of Baby Boo and I decided to create a safe space where a lot of you guys can feel comfortable to share stories that you would never share anywhere else. But unfortunately, that was not how that went down. It just seemed like a lot of people were still pretty nervous about sharing their stories, or just they didn't and felt that, I don't know if they didn't feel like their stories were worth hearing, but I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get stories from people, because from the interactions that I had with a lot of you guys on Instagram, I was under the impression that you guys wanted a space that you can be you without punishment or without judgment. But maybe I read that information wrong, because the channel, I don't feel like was doing what it was meant to do. The purpose of this channel is to give a voice to the Ninja LGBT community that does exist but isn't recognized. That's the purpose of this channel, and I'm hoping at some point within this year or in the future that will happen. So I wanted to kind of give you guys an update on where we are at with the Baby Boo and I situation. I believe the last video that I posted on Behind the Silver Line was us going to therapy, which was sometime over the summer. We've had probably the roughest year in our relationship ever, like the roughest year. I thought our first year was pretty rough, but in all the years, I think year 4.5 for us, because May of 2019 will make 5 years into the relationship. Year 4 into 5 has been the toughest year for my love life and my relationship life. Therapy was good. We actually did 2 sessions of therapy. The first session, we talked about a lot of light stuff. We didn't really get into like the meat and potatoes of stuff. And the second session, where a lot of real issues in our relationship started to come up. We chose a lesbian counselor because we wanted somebody who understood us a little better on a different level. Going to therapy was something that Journey wanted to do, and I thought it was a good idea, because we had gotten to a space where we no longer were able to communicate without yelling, without fighting, without just not listening. One of my fears of therapy was that it was going to showcase some of the things that I don't think that I can accept any longer in my relationship. And that's what kind of happened. I mean, I really would love to tell you guys more about what is going on in my relationship, but I can't. It's really difficult to really express myself without feeling like I am telling somebody else's story without their permission. I can only tell the story the best I can from my perspective. After the second session, we talked about some real things. And one of the things that we talked about was the fact that I felt really drained because Journey was not being as responsible as I felt like she should have been with a lot of her personal business. One of the issues we have in our relationship, to be honest, guys, is that Journey is forgetful. She doesn't forget like dates or numbers or things like that, but Journey tends to forget like physical things, and they're usually physical things that are really important in that day-to-day basis. Like, let's just give you just a general example. Me and Journey decide to make breakfast. I send her to the store. She comes back with no eggs. She forgot the eggs, which isn't a big deal when you think about it. We can make bread and butter. We can do oatmeal. We can do something else. But when we had talked about making breakfast, the idea was, oh, we're gonna have eggs, we're gonna have bacon, we're gonna have sausage, we're gonna have breakfast potatoes, we're gonna have all these things for breakfast. And you send Journey to the store, she gets to the store, come back with no eggs. Or Journey will make it all the way to the store and forget her debit card. So those are the kind of things, those are one of the kind of things that I'm just giving you guys a typical example of how much Journey can forget. Like, we can be getting ready to catch a flight and Journey would have forgotten her passport. Now that means we have to run back home, get the passport in the hopes of not missing the flight. That was one of my biggest issues with Journey. And that issue actually had been around since the beginning parts of our relationship. Actually, I think I noticed it maybe year 2 of our relationship, that she was just like super unorganized and super forgetful, and I just got frustrated with it, you know? And there are more issues, you guys. There's more issues in our relationship, but that's just one of our issues. And the only reason, I know some of you guys are thinking, oh, that's not a big deal. Yes, it's not a big deal when it happens once every 6 months. Everybody forgets. But when it's happening like twice a week, 3 times a week, by like the end of the week, you're exhausted, because every time we will get ready to go somewhere or do something, Journey, I have to say, Journey, do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have that? That's not including me having to do a personal check to ensure that I have all the things that I need to make sure that the day is successful. So I don't know if anybody ever understands what it means to use brain power or brain capacity for something else or someone else. But to me, it just felt like I was doing me, and I also had to create space in my brain to do Journey. And that was a lot for me, especially over the period of 4 years. It's a lot. Try reminding somebody about the same things for 4 years every single day. It's exhausting, and I told Journey, I remember in the second year of our relationship, I remember talking to her about it, and I said, we were going to break up. I said, think about it. If we were going to have kids, and our kids are going to need my brain also, because kids don't always remember everything that they need to have. Okay, so you have to pack your school, your kids' lunch, your kids' bag, your kids, plate. You have to pack you have to do a lot of things for your kids. And there are a lot of things that kids at some point will learn to do for themselves, but until they do, you have to do it for them. You have to remember, pack your stuff, pack their stuff, and then have to now also remember to pack Journey stuff. So it's all these things. And after a while, I just got frustrated with it. I got frustrated with that. So that's one of the things that came up in our second year, in our second session at the counselor, was that I was tired of Journey forgetting stuff. And I thought that, so as I said, I'm exhausted. And she said, well, why is that an issue for you? I said, because every time she forgets something, I have to always go out of my way to fix it. Or before she forgets it, I have to remind her. So she said, well, you have to teach her. You have to learn to teach her how to do these things. And I said, I don't mind doing that. I have put sticky notes around the house. I have physically reminded her to remember things. And she was like, and I said, the only other thing that's left is to just become a total bitch about it. Just be a bitch. Like, literally see Journey forgetting her wallet and not say anything until we get to the store, and then say, you forgot your wallet, sorry. I don't have the time to raise another adult. And she was like, well, that's what you're going to have to do if you want your relationship to work. And I was like, well, that's not a bad thing to do. It's not a bad thing to teach somebody how to do something. But if me teaching somebody how to do something means that I have to be a bitch, or I have to be a mean person, or a person that isn't natural to me, then I have a problem. But that's what the counselor said that I had to do if I wanted to make the relationship work. And I thought that was unfair to me, that now I have to change who I am in order to accommodate Journey and her forgetfulness. But I was willing to give it a try. Now, we left the second session and we got home. And I remember Journey asking me, when I was going to be ready for the third session. I told her I'll let her know. Let's assume that the second session ended on a Saturday. I think it was a Saturday. Monday, Journey had to go to work. At the time, Journey and I were not living together. She moved out and I was living here by myself. And she had spent the night over the weekend and then left on Monday to go to work. She was going to go to her place after work. Now, I hadn't heard from her, like I said, which wasn't a big deal. But then I got a call from a weird number. And I picked up the number. I usually never do pick up weird numbers. And I picked up the number and it was Journey on the other line. And I said, where are you calling me from? And she was like, work. And I said, well, where's your phone? She's like, I forgot it at your apartment this morning. So she was asking to see if I was home so she can come pick up her phone. And I said, sure, fine. But when Journey got home that day, I was pissed because we had just been to the therapist about not forgetting stuff. And she had made a cautious effort to promise that she'll try and work on that, right? But then literally the next day or 2 days after, you forget your phone in the apartment. And now I have to ensure that I'm home to ensure that you pick up your phone so you can have your phone with you. Now, I could have been a bitch and said, you cannot come over. I'm not home. Maybe you can come back in 2 days. I'll be home then. But I didn't, because I was like, that's not who I am. But then the therapist, has said that now I have to become this person. And I was just pissed. I was pissed because I didn't feel like Journey was personally trying. This is one of our issues. You want us to go to therapy. You want us to fix this problem, but you can't even fix your own end of the problem. See, I didn't mind going to therapy if it meant that she was physically and emotionally going to change some of the issues that were going on. But I'm not going to continue to go to therapy if she's going to give you homework and you don't take that homework seriously. And I was just like, why am I wasting my time? Why am I doing this with you? Why am I even bothering when you can't even get the simple stuff right? And at that point, I was like, no more therapy. What's the point? It's useless. We're going to go to therapy. She's going to tell us what we need to do, but you're still going to come home and do the same stuff. And even till now, we're still having some of those issues. It has not changed. And I'm learning to not care about whatever she forgets, because like the therapist said, she's right. It's not my business. It's not my place to teach her or correct her. It's not. If she's forgotten something and we got to catch a flight, I'm leaving. You come later after I'm gone. Okay? That's how I see it. It's hard to do because I want to do stuff together, but if Journey forgets something, I'm leaving. And I think she's very aware that I'm not going to always sit here to be here and be around for all of that extra stuff. We broke up January 2018, and till today, we are still not back together because a lot of our issues have not been fixed. Therapy is not cheap. We had to pay for it. Like, I'm not paying for any more sessions of therapy if you're not going to do the work. So that's where that ended. So therapy was a good thing, but I think it only allowed me to realize that she's still not ready, and she's still not ready, and this is not how it's going to work. The last time we spoke, Journey had moved out. She did move back in temporarily because she was having some issues, which I didn't mind helping out. And I love Journey. I am in love with her. I want to be with her. I want us to work. But to me, it's not worth it if I have to deal with these type of things for the rest of my life. And again, I know you guys have been like, oh, if it's just forgetfulness, it's not a big deal. It's not just that. There are many other issues that I'm choosing not to speak on. And maybe at some point in the future, I would talk about them. As of this point, Journey and I are still not together. This is January 2019. We pretty much stayed broken up all year because I never felt like we had made enough progress to call ourselves back in a relationship. I want the relationship. I do want it to work, but at this point, we have both agreed to stay apart in terms of living together. I mean, like I said, she moved back into the house, but once this lease is up, she's going to be moving into her own space. It's so hard to walk away from this relationship because one, we have put so much time into the relationship. May this year will make it 5 years. I'm a little bit disappointed because I thought that we would be in a different space at this moment, but we're not. We're not emotionally, we're not financially, we're not physically. All the leads, we're not there. We're not anywhere close to what I believe a 5-year relationship should look like, feel like, and be like. So we've agreed to spend some time apart. So once the lease of this apartment is over, I'm going to be moving out. So is she. And we're going to be moving into 2 separate spaces because it's important that we understand ourselves as individuals in a very separate and neutral space. The only time they will be allowed to see each other would be in a public setting, maybe for a date or maybe for a lunch or dinner, but we're not allowed to share or stay in each other's spaces, especially overnight, because we all know that's going to be troubles. That's where we are right now. We're still broken up. I know it's hard to believe that we're still broken up because I still post pictures of Journey. Yeah, we've spent time with each other, and it's hard to let go because we've been together so much. We've been together for so long that it's really hard to just walk away. You know, this is 4 years in the making, going on 5, and it's hard to just step away from the relationship like that. But for me, just personally, I want better. And if I can't get better with Journey, then I'm going to have to get better with something else, or just be by myself. But that's where we are. That's the update. I hate that this is like the first video for 2019, but this is what we got going on, and this is the best that I can do. You guys have always supported our relationship, and so it's like, it's hard to walk away with so much love and support from so many different people. So I'm willing to give it a fight, but at the end of this whole thing, it's our happiness that really is important and not the happiness of our fans. We have to be happy with each other before we can actually show you guys happiness or an example. There's no way. So thank you guys for always being supporters of the Baby Boo and I. The Baby Boo and I thing. And thank you for always just showing love and rooting for us. And I'm hoping that in 2019, we can come back with better news. But for now, we're still broken up. We still spend time, but we're still trying to make it work.